It's been said that no matter how busy a man is, he's never too busy to stop and talk to you about how busy he is. Busyness. Now, I'll tell you what, if the schedule that you keep, a busy and high-paced schedule, is something that inspires you, it motivates you, and it makes you happy, by all means, continue. But if it's something that's draining your energy and making you feel overwhelmed and taking you away from things that you feel are most important from you, it might be time to take a look at it and ask yourself, are you too busy? Hi everyone, Chris Natzke here with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching with your Mind of a Champion tip of the week. Busyness. You know, it's absolutely, I think, an obsession in our culture. In fact, I challenge you on something. The next time you're having a conversation with someone, notice how many times in the conversation, particularly at the beginning, that either you or both of you begin to talk to each other about how busy you are. Use it as usually in a means of being exasperated and maybe apologizing why you weren't able to reach out to them soon enough and how you've got such a hectic pace, you just don't know where to go. But it's almost like this badge of honor, right? It's like if we're not busy, people are thinking we're just not doing our jobs. But quite the contrary. I think that many times when we put ourselves in that high state of busyness, we're not being as productive as we can be. In fact, I've always loved what super coach Steve Chandler says about busyness. He says, busyness is the surest sign of laziness. Let me say that again. Busyness is the surest sign of laziness. Now, what he means by this is many of us keep ourselves busy and distracted with the mundane, small things so that we feel like we're constantly in motion, but we do it at the expense of focusing on the things that are most important to us. The relationships that are most important to us, the projects that are going to help us get ahead. We tend to focus on the things that we're comfortable with doing and stay busy with those, but we don't focus on the big fish. We don't focus on the things that can really take us ahead. It can also make us the happiest and most fulfilled. Now, I had an aha moment several years ago around this idea of busyness. My mom, as many of you know, lives in Wisconsin. I reside here in Denver. And generally what we do is we connect via telephone every Sunday and have a really nice long talk. But there's one particular week, she called me on a Wednesday. And I picked up the phone and the first words out of her mouth were, "I'm so sorry to call you now. I know how busy you are, but only take a moment." And I said, "No, slow down, Mom. I'm okay. I can take this call." And we talked about whatever we did. But after I hung up the phone, I started thinking about something. I thought, what am I doing? How am I being? What am I saying to my mom that makes her think I'm too busy to talk to her? If I would have been occupied with something else, I probably would have let it go to voicemail and just, and I would have called her later. But the fact of the matter is I was making time for her at that time. But I had been communicating in many ways before that I didn't have time for her. And then I started thinking, well, where do I do that in other areas of my life? Am I doing it with my sons, with my friends, with my business associates, with my clients? Am I telling them I'm too busy? And importantly, am I saying that to myself? And am I then keeping myself in a sense of overwhelm and maybe not going for the big things that I really want to do because I think I'm too busy? So one of the things I did from that experience is I made a decision, and that was to extract the word busy from my life. Think about that for a moment. Now, I'm not saying that I'm always great at it. I'm not saying that the B word doesn't, every once in a while come into my vernacular. But what I did is I started to replace it. If my schedule was moving, I'd say I have a robust schedule, or I'm really expansive in what I'm doing, or I loved what the military says. We're at high tempo. And when I did that, when I made that small change, what I found is I began to take my power back. I began to realize that my level of activity was my choice. It was my choice. And many times when I was keeping a very high level of activity, I was doing it out of fear anyway. I was doing it because I thought that if I wasn't holding myself to the standard, or if I wasn't keeping pace with the other guy, I was falling behind. But when I started to slow down and I started to notice where I was putting myself in situations where busyness was driving me, and I started to change that, I actually started getting more productive. I literally sped up by slowing down. So my question for you is are you living your life right now where you're too busy? Are you thinking that way? Are you speaking that way? Are you acting that way? And what would happen if you slowed down and maybe even extract the word busy from your vocabulary. Where would you be able to get your power back? Where would you be able to up-level your relationships? And where would you be able to make a bigger impact in your life? So there you have it, my friends. There's your challenge for this week. See if you can extract the word busy from your vocabulary. And if you have an experience with it that you'd like to share, please do. Place it in the comments below. I'd love to hear if doing this little experiment actually gives you not only some greater time back, but also helps you get your power back as well. So this has been Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching, and we'll see you next time on the Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week.